Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now in this video, we're doing a 2024 presidential prediction of Joe Biden, the incumbent president, versus the former president, Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump right now is at the front of the Republican primary field, and he looks like he's the most likely to be matched up against Biden. So, uh, hence, we are doing this video to kind of see how this rematch of 2020 will kind of shake out.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good starting point because there are some states that are safe that we haven't marked. I think longtime viewers will see them, but I think it's worth discussing since we haven't touched the presidential race in a very long time and electoral politics has kind of been dead for a while. It's a good idea to come back and start from the ground up. So, to our new viewers, right now we just marked out the very, very solid states that, unless something crazy happens, won't change. And
Mm-hmm.
now I guess we'll go into the really safe Republican states that we haven't marked.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I could take it here.
okay, you
Okay.
can
So
take
right
it.
off the bat, we can go to South Carolina here. So this is a state that won in 2020 by roughly 12 points. Yeah, I don't really see this shifting too much. Um, from 2020, South Carolina, like there isn't really like those kind of shifts we see in other states. I think it's just gonna kind of be stagnant there, and Trump's just gonna take it. And then onward from there, Nebraska's first district. I mean, yeah. So there's some Maine and Nebraska do their distribute their electoral votes by congressional district. So yeah, the first district Trump won by like 11 points, 11 or 12 again. But it's again similar to South Carolina, pretty stagnant. It's just gonna go to Trump again. Yeah. So there's those who I mean, and then from there, I guess we can go to like Iowa if you want. I mean, I'm not sure how safe that is. I mean, I don't know if you want to go there next. Like, what do you want to do from there?
Yeah, I think Iowa is interesting because Trump won this by around 8 points. And I'm not sure if I'm confident going into safe, but it's probably the smartest thing to put. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think Iowa is like one of those states like between 2016 and 2020, despite Biden doing better basically across the nation, that it kind of just stopped and didn't move. And I think that's a bad sign. And generally, this state's just been moving away from Democrats over the last few years. And I think we'll see a continuation of that in 2024. Um, and I don't really see Biden spending much time in the state, honestly. And I think Democrats are kind of just going to give up on it here. And I think I can see it going solid red here. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think like a few months back, I was dooming really hard. I thought, after 2022, it looked like to me Biden would at least get like 350 electoral votes and Iowa wouldn't be solid red, but I think now looking at consolidating from 2022, the polls, while they weren't great and they might still have a Republican leaning bias, the presidential polls are usually better slightly. And the fact that Trump is even in the lead is really interesting. And I thought it would be a lot worse for Trump, honestly, after what happened in January 6th, 2021, and everything else that's happened to him since then. And he's generally just an annoying figure in the news. Not many people like seeing his name in the news, even Republicans. So really, I think now, though, with the fact that he's still somehow clinging on to the polls, likely because Biden is such a bad candidate, I think we could put Iowa in solid.
Okay. Where do you want to go from
I
here?
think we could go to Alaska. I think this one's slightly less solid. I think it's still probably likely, but barely. What do you think?
I'm pretty confident. Iowa's a sub 10 point margin for Trump. Like I think it's gonna dip in a likely margin here, just because Alaska's been trending blue. I mean, yeah, over the last few years. Like it used to vote like 30, 40 points for Republicans, but just like over the last few presidential elections, we've just seen that kind of slowly lose that status. Like, I mean, 2020, it was exactly 10 points basically. And just recently we had a Democrat win the House seat in Alaska. So I think it's pretty safe to say. I think like no matter what, like who's at the top of the ticket here for the Republicans, I think chances are it's going to dip under 10, especially with Peltola on the ballot too. So yeah, I think we're going to see that as likely.
Okay.
Um.
And I guess for the last like slightly safe, slightly likely seats, it could go Florida and Ohio. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Um. I mean, I guess we'll start with Ohio first. Generally, like Midwest, like kind of similar to Iowa. Um.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Iowa, I think Democrats are, since it's more electoral votes, Democrats are going to be more inclined to try harder there, right? So I think Ohio is. I mean, I don't know. I can see it. I mean, I can see a lot of different scenarios here. I think chances are it might just stay around where it was before, like 8 or 9 points. But because yeah, like I mean, I don't know. Could Trump get that over 10? I mean, JD Vance ran in Ohio. He was the Trump endorsed candidate. He only got like 6 points, but then then again he was up against a good candidate. So I don't know. I think personally, I would say it's likely. I'd still put that as likely for now. But I don't know. What do you think
Yeah, I
here?
think it's likely. There's also a somewhat like interesting Senate race that's going on there too that the Democrats definitely have as a really strong candidate there. So if anything, that would tilt it into likely. And then we can go to Florida. And Florida is interesting because of just the 2022 shifts. I don't think anyone really anticipated it, like literally anyone. There was already a really crazy shift in the south of Florida in 2020. We
Mm-hmm.
saw Miami-Dade, which people thought was a typo when the results came in, right? They were like, there's no way it's this close. And it was. And then of course, in 2022, this is the Senate shift, which doesn't even show the governor shifts, but
Mm-hmm.
Florida shifted very, very far to the right, to the point, of course, where oh wait, this is the House, but to the point where Florida was won by 19, 20 points on a
Yeah.
statewide level. Now, it was a red wave year, and especially in Florida, it was a huge red wave. This is different because it's a presidential year, but I actually think it will be safe. It is kind of a hot take right now, but the fact that Trump won it by 4 in 2020 and it just shifted really far to the right, I think more Republicans are moving there. They've got a more aging population. The Hispanic shifts in Florida are very solidly to the right, and I think they're going to keep going. I underestimated
Mm,
Republicans in Florida in 2022. I think this is going to be safe.
yeah, but the candidates in 2022 were really good though. You had DeSantis, who was really popular at the time, and then you had Rubio, who's won by like extreme margins in Florida before. And then again, it was 2022, and Dem turnout was massive, like really bad in Florida, like historically bad in Florida. And I mean, in a presidential year, I'm led to believe that Dem turnout is going to be better than 2022. They're definitely going to do better than 2022. I think that's a given. Um, yeah, I don't see, especially with Trump's all Trump's baggage. Like I don't see him just flying above 10 points. Yeah, like I like it's yeah, like basically any other Republican in Florida I could see doing that, but Trump I really can't. Like he won by 3 in 2020, a 7 point shift from that uh in in like in 4 years would be insane to me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go that. I would say likely, honestly.
No, we just put likely for now. I don't think that's a like big point of contention anyway.
Yeah,
So
and
now I
then
guess we could go to the slate
oh
safe
wait,
slash like, huh?
before that we should just do Maine two, Maine District
Oh
two.
yeah, Maine
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Because yeah, that's a stagnant like stagnant sort of district. I think Trump will win it by about the same likely margin there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now we can go on to the more Democratic states. I think the most obvious one we can mark off here is Colorado. Yeah, it's just been flying to the left so fast that like I think yeah, no matter who you put up, it's just going to be like a solid Democratic victory there. Yeah, where do you want to go after that? Like,
Yeah, I think we can just go to its neighbor, New Mexico, which is also so. I mean, Colorado has been flying to the left, and New Mexico has kind of been this thing where it used to be to the left of Colorado, and now it's to its right. New Mexico is obviously won by around the
like
same
10, yeah.
margin as Colorado in 2020, but the fact that 2022 happened with Colorado was something just, it was like the anti-Florida. It just went 15 points to Michael Bennett, even with a moderate on the Senate ticket. And we're going to see, I think, in New Mexico, something different. I think it's going to stay around 8 to 9 points. It's not going to be like Colorado. I think it's actually likely Democrat.
Being likely. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm between likely and solid here because just that's just where New Mexico's been over the last few years. I mean, like some races, it's over 10 for Democrats, like it was in 2020 for Biden. Some it's a little under. I think just because of Hispanic shifts more recently, I am a little more inclined to say it might dip to like 8 or 9 point win to like back
Mm.
down to the likely margin. So yeah, I think we can
Yeah,
put it there.
likely, but we wouldn't spend too much time on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think next is Virginia. Virginia is like it's really another one of these that's on the border. I mean, like Biden won it by just above 10, and the shifts were big last time, especially in these DC suburbs and these like Nova counties. Now,
Mm-hmm.
something complicating Virginia obviously is what happened in 2021 with Glenn Youngkin shifting it big time to the right, like 13 points, which is, that's something that is very difficult to do in a like suburban like high education state for a Republican. But this is Trump, and it's obviously going to Biden again, but it's just kind of this margin number where I think it could go either way. What do you think?
And I'm pretty confident it'll be solid. Like, I mean, the only thing I think that's been like, the Virginia Republican Party has been benefiting a lot, obviously, from Biden's unpopularity. But another thing they've been benefiting from is the fact that they haven't really put up any extreme MAGA candidates recently. And I think if they once they go back to that with Trump, it's just gonna go like flying back to the left again. So yeah, I'm pretty confident this will be solid, like above 10 points, just barely.
Yeah, I think the Senate race is probably closer, if anything. I don't know. We'll just make it safer now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess New Hampshire's and Minnesota would be the least
Mm-hmm.
close
Oh, and
here.
Maine too. New Hampshire, Minnesota,
Oh,
Maine. Like
Maine, yeah,
all
it's
those
already
kind of
covered,
groups.
so it's hard to tell. Maine was around the same margin. I actually think it's probably safe. Um,
Yeah,
at this
me too.
point. New Hampshire, I think, is likely though. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think New Hampshire still has that swingy nature. I don't think it's going all the way to 10 points, not this time. But
Yeah, I agree with Maine. New Hampshire, I could actually see it going solid just because of when the Republicans ran Bolduc in 2022, who was again like another MAGA candidate. He got like completely eviscerated by 9 points. And if they run Trump, I mean, that's just, like it's the same sort of thing, except he's going to be more known in the state now. So, I mean, I don't know. I could actually see New Hampshire going full out like solid for Biden. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Like, it's going to be a borderline. I think. Like,
yeah, it's sort of
I think it's gonna be,
borderline. I
yeah.
think also the Biden is just so much worse than like a Maggie Hassan, a generic Democrat. Like he's still like what, like super low in the approval ratings. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but that's true. But like, Trump is also so much worse than like an average
But
Republican
he's not
too.
worse than
So you're
Bulldog.
gonna,
He's
you,
not worse than Bulldog.
I
We're
mean,
comparing it to the Senate race.
is he not worse than Bulldog? I mean, I don't know because he's Bulldog, but there's also like the insurrection, and then he's has a lot of investigations against him. I think Bulldog is at least like a veteran or something, like so he has some stuff going for him.
Sure,
But like,
whatever. I don't think it
I mean,
really matters. Like it's
yeah,
going
we
to
could
be
put it in likely. Yeah, it
all
is
right.
gonna
It's
go in
irrelevant,
likely.
I think. It's pretty relevant.
And
Minnesota here is probably one of these like probably just
yeah, I
I
think
don't
it
know.
stays the same about.
It could just stay the same. The shifts were kind of just like in the city. I think this one could be safe though. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
you think I would
I
think
actually
you'd go
do.
say New Hampshire safe and then keep
Well,
Minnesota
the
the
thing is,
same.
I think New Hampshire is more of like a swingy
Oh,
nature state
swingy.
where like
Ah,
they kind of have these people that don't like the incumbent. Like they usually vote against the incumbent. They're kind of like that. They're more libertarian type, like I don't like the two
that's true.
parties, etc. I think Minnesota was like, I don't know, Minnesota doesn't have that like same thing as New Hampshire. It's also like it just hasn't voted Republican statewide for a very long time. So it's not it I don't think parties are going to put resources into it like they would in New Hampshire. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I think this one
Yeah.
could be safe, but I don't really care where it goes either.
I would personally put this likely. I mean, like I think, yeah, like
Okay.
again, going by like the 2022 sort of data, like you run like the you we saw some MAGA Republicans run in Minnesota, and generally, it was like I think it was like a 7 point win. Like I mean, yeah, it's just around the same as like 2020 in a Republican year. So like I think it'll just stay around the same, honestly. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
I
Yeah.
think I think we're down to the closer states now. And do you want to just finish Nebraska's second
Oh
district?
yeah. We should get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I think this district's gonna stay likely blue, like it was in 2020. Omaha's been trending leftward, and the suburbs around it. So I think that's gonna continue. And I think no matter what, Biden's probably taking this district. Like, even if Trump ends up doing really well, I think it'll be like a close win for Biden. So yeah, I think we put this likely.
Yeah, I don't know if Trump can really overperform that much. I mean, it would have to be a really bad economic situation, which I wouldn't hope for. But yeah, I think there would really have to be a pretty bad recession for these likely states to flip. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess we can move on. There obviously these are the key states,
Hmm.
but Texas is probably the least key of them. Uh,
Yeah.
I I think obviously, I mean, Trump has to win Texas to win the presidency. There's no path without Texas, and I think he's gonna win it. I think this will be a lean margin though. I don't. I think Republicans are coping if they think it's just solidly likely. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think in 2020 it was likely, and I think that Democrats putting it in lean were kind of coping, but now I think if you put it in likely, you're the coping party. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
it was a crazy shift though. Like the shifts kind of try to balance each other out, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the shifts, they're a little misleading because all those counties that shifted to the right,
Yeah.
they're pretty low population. But yeah, that it is true that in Hispanics in the Rio Grande Valley, like in the southern part of the state, have been flying to the right. But while the suburbs, which are more populated, have been going left. So yeah, that does give Democrats an advantage in terms of the overall trends of Texas. Um, I do think Trump's going to win Texas. Chances are, I think it's a lean red state here. Uh, but I will say, like this reminds me of like the Georgia situation in 2020. A lot of people thought it was gonna be lean red or go to the Republicans, but go to Trump by a little bit, but then it flipped. So I think it's actually possible that we could see a Blexus, in 2024. I'm not saying it's likely. I mean, we're still putting it lean R here, but there's like there's a decent percent chance, like maybe 33%, 25 to 33% chance that I think it could flip. But yeah, right now we'll leave it red.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think like the thing with Georgia though in 2020 was like people thought like Biden would do so well that like he would sweep like everything.
Yeah,
He would sweep like Florida. I mean, everyone thought he was just gonna sweep North Carolina. Like even Iowa and Ohio were back in play, right?
oh,
Like
you're right. Yeah,
that was the whole like narrative, and that's why they thought Georgia was going. They never thought Georgia would go to the left, but like Florida and like
yeah.
North Carolina would hold R. Like no one really would have that combo. So like yeah, it's interesting, but like with Texas here, I think Texas would have to like I don't know. A lot of states would have to fall before Texas. Like I think North Carolina probably has to fall before Texas. Like, I don't know. It's pretty weird, but Texas
Mm.
could. I think anything in lean has the possibility to flip without anything crazy happening. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Now I guess we could just go like east to west because the
yeah.
last
Okay.
few states, they're kind of on the same level in terms of these are the key states. I think Michigan maybe not so much, but the rest of the states really are.
Yeah.
So maybe we could just do Michigan because I think Michigan is the least
Yeah, the most
like
of the
coin
yeah.
flip state. I think
Mhm.
it's probably lean Democrat. I don't think it's like a tilt state. I think like Michigan kind of flat rejected Tudor Dixon 2022. They didn't really like Trump in 2020 either. I mean, like Biden was able to gain the white voters in Michigan again, and he won by a pretty healthy margin of 3 points. I think this could even go to likely like Biden could win this by 4 or 5 with after January 6th. I think Michigan voters are more educated than the average voter, and yeah, I think Michigan is pretty safely for Biden. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that assessment there. 2022, like it was just such a rejection of like MAGA Republicans there. Like it was yeah, like you have Whitmer winning by 10 points and then down ballot Dems winning by like 8. Yeah, I think Biden, Evan, like, yeah, now Dems control, like, have a trifecta in the state. So they're passing, like,
Correct.
you know, passing more laws that, cut down restrictions, expand mail in voting and stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think Biden's going to take it. I could see him getting above 5. But, yeah, to be safe, yeah, I think he's probably going to win by, like, maybe 4 points there as of right now. So, yeah, I
That's
think,
actually a good point as well. I mean, the passing of laws that helps their own like makes them better, like their voters have a easier time voting is obviously helpful as well. So, yeah, okay. Now the rest of the states. I think these are definitely the key states, but I think we can go to North Carolina first because I think it's probably the most clearly Republican state of the rest.
mhm.
So, North Carolina, I think is gonna stay lean R, but what do you think?
I think I could see North Carolina loosening up a little and
Even
falling to a
more.
tilt to a tilt margin. I think I think it could fall to a like I think Trump's still gonna win it because it's tend to again it tends to be a tease for Democrats.
Hmm.
Like it's always so close, but you never quite make it. So yeah, I think it'll fall a little bit to a tilt margin just because like I mean I want to account for again like I still think Trump's baggage like the negatives for Trump are still overall worse than the negatives for Biden, especially like when you consider that like some of the negatives for Biden, like inflation and the economy, like it looks like that's kind of going away now. Like inflation's going away, and it now looks like some predictors are saying we might even avoid a recession. So like when like looking at that and weighing that, I think yeah, I think it'll go down a tilt R. I don't. I'm not too confident Biden will flip it, but yeah, I think it'll be really really close.
Yeah, I think it could be another scary state for Republicans because yeah, like Ted Budd won it by 4, so he moved the needle a little bit, but that's in a national supposed to be a Republican wave year. And so I guess till is fair. I was thinking probably 1 to 2 points, so I wouldn't say like half a point or something would be something crazy to say. And yeah, I
Mhm.
guess it's fair because I think Biden's likely to do better this cycle than in 2020 because like if the election were to be held today, he would probably do better than he did in 2020. Now, the election being held in 2024, we can't really just tell the future of
Yeah.
the economy and everything because gas prices back up to $5 a gallon
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
he probably does worse. So we don't know, but this is a monthly prediction. So I think a monthly prediction here, this is the right characterization. And now we
Yeah.
can finally go east to west. So Pennsylvania here.
Um. I mean, okay. Pennsylvania. I mean, again, looking at 2022, it went really blue, but that was because Republicans uh, put up really bad candidates. Like Oz was from New Jersey, Mastriano was a psycho that Trump endorsed. Like advocating for crazy stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's not exactly good. And since those were the only two real statewide candidates, like we can't we can't really compare any of the more moderate ones, like how generic candidates would really do statewide in the state nowadays. Um, Biden won it by 1.2. I think I would think he'd win it again with incumbency behind him. I don't know. Like I want to say like lean blue. I mean, I could see it getting really close. I could see. I mean, there's obviously like a situation where Trump wins it, but yeah, I think right now, I mean, Biden has a slight advantage, maybe even tilt, but like
Yeah, I
I think
actually think
like
lean is right. I think this could even go likely blue, but it could also go all the way to lean R. Like there's a really big range in Pennsylvania. I think the one thing you have to know though is like Pennsylvania is funny because like yeah, the Republicans had like really bad candidates in 2022, but like Fetterman was also abysmal and he still won by 5 in a national Republican year. And like I mean, if you watch the debates, you know what happened, right? So
yeah,
like Fetterman was abysmal, and his only thing was like Oz is from New Jersey, like that was his only line, and he still won it by 5. And Shapiro also swept on the governor level. Go check that race out. And so, yeah, I think Biden has advantage here. I think it's going to be somewhat. I think it's going to move with Michigan, and I think yeah, like Biden's going to probably do better. I think right now, like I said, if the election were to be held today, like Biden would do better in most states than he did in 2020.
mm,
Maybe not in like Iowa because, Iowa's been shifting right in general or Florida, right? But in the kind of important swing states, I think he does move the needle to the left. And I think we
yeah,
could also see that in Georgia. Like moving on to Georgia, I think this is also lean Democrat. Like
yeah,
obviously he won by a very slim margin in the first round and it had to go all the way to a runoff. And of course, he won the state. But what I'm trying to say here is I think he probably avoids a runoff in the first round if the election were to be held today. And in general, I think it just moves with the Sun Belt. Like if Trump is doing this bad in the
I
Rust
don't even think
Belt,
they do runoffs for presidential races there. I doubt it. Right? I mean,
oh, they don't. Oh,
yeah, I doubt it. Yeah,
okay,
probably for only statewide. But
okay.
yeah, like yeah, I agree. I agree with your thinking here. I mean,
I think he
Georgia,
just gets over
uh,
50 in general. Like, yeah, I don't know.
the Atlanta area, yeah, it's just been like flying to the left, like in the suburbs. So like, yeah, it's just gonna. I feel like over the next few years, it's only gonna go more to the left. So yeah, like I mean, yeah, I see
Yeah,
it's like going lean.
Republicans can't really resist it. I think 2022 was their final stand, and they did hold on to the governorship by quite a healthy margin, actually. So, like Raffensperger might have a future as the governor or something in 2026. I don't know,
But
but
yeah, wait,
yeah,
can I just because
sure,
like yeah, like I just want to like show here like when you look at the at Georgia in 2022, like the non MAGA Republicans like who are like didn't go into the election
yeah,
conspiracy theories did like stupid well, like they won by like 6 points, like and I think Raffensperger won by like 9.
yeah.
But like then you have like Herschel Walker where the Dems win by like 2. So I mean, yeah, like I mean it depends on who they run, and since Trump is the more extreme Republican, I think it just gives Biden like an easy, like he's just gonna take it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I think like it's not even like Stacey Abrams that bad of a candidate, no matter how much you want to clown her. I think definitely Kemp had something to do with it. And yeah, like if Kemp runs for Senate or something, like he could make a Republican. But I think on the presidential level right now, it just has to go to the Democrats. 2020 was probably the last presidential year where Republicans had a chance. And so Wisconsin here is probably the one state of the three here in the Midwest that Trump has the best chance at, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin was won by a very, very slim margin. We had polls from the New York Times saying like plus 12 or something. It just didn't happen like that in 2020. Trump came very, very close, within 1 point. So that's obviously a tilt margin. I think Biden probably wins it by a tilt slash lean in 2024. I think it's probably lean now just because of the whole, Trump January 6th thing and everything. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm about in the same place because yeah, Wisconsin is been. I mean, I know liberals have had like very big wins in Wisconsin, over the last, I mean, like even couple months. Like, I mean, the Supreme Court justice, I mean, not Supreme Courts, the Wisconsin State Court, liberal justice, she won by like 10 points. And then Tony Evers held on in 2022. And I mean, lots of Democratic statewide officials in Wisconsin held on.
Except for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Ron
except for
Johnson
yeah.
race.
I mean, yeah, the Republicans did win that, but yeah, Ron Johnson had incumbency there, and he only won by 1%. So yeah, I mean, I think though, like looking at Wisconsin as a whole, though, and looking at some of the other statewide races in the state in 2022, a lot of them were like outside the governor's race were like 1 point or less, like really, really close. So yeah, I think generally it's still going to be a really close race between Trump. I think I could see this going tilt or yeah, maybe Biden wins by like 1, but yeah, I think it's going to be I
Yeah.
think Biden has advantage. Yeah.
Arizona, though, I think Biden's going to do better in Arizona
Yeah.
compared, like, definitely better than what he did in 2020. And I think this is another one of these, like, races that like, another one of these states where he's just going to continue to move the needles to the left. It's not like Trump has really gotten any success in Arizona, even in a Republican year. None of the Republican statewide officials could even win in Arizona at all, and that's saying something. Because of how swingy that state's supposed to be, or lean Republican even a few years past, and now Democrats dominate the state, and they're just in general doing a lot better. Biden's gonna outperform Trump, just like Carrie Lake didn't do so well, and yeah. I think lean blue is fair.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the Phoenix area has just been moving along. And then finally we have Nevada here. It's a state again, like another one of those states, similarly to like Iowa, like that's just stagnated. Like between 2016 and 2020, yeah, both Biden and Clinton won by 2.4. Yeah, I mean, I think Dems still have advantage here. I mean, they won it by a greater percentage than other states like over the last few years. I mean, generally, I would say Hispanics in the Las Vegas area have been slowly chipping away at the Democratic's margins. In 2022, we saw that. But that was like, I mean, 2022 overall was a Republican year. And, despite the Republicans flipping the governorship in Nevada, Democrats were still able to hold the Senate race. And other statewide races against more MAGA Republicans, like in the Secretary of State race and the Attorney General race, the Democrats were able to hold on. So, yeah, because of that, because again, like this is another scenario where like MAGA Republicans tend to do worse. I think Democrats still hold the advantage here. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is still lean. I don't even think it's tilt. I think Trump has to do better for this to go to tilt. And yeah, it's just like overall, only this moderate governor who's like signing pro-choice bills and pro LGBTQ bills is able to win, which is saying something, I think. And like whenever it comes to Nevada, I think we're just gonna default over to that Nevada guy because
Ralston,
John Ralston, I think is his name, because he always calls Nevada correctly. So in November, I'm just gonna put whatever he puts. But yeah, he's the Nevada specialist, not me. But I do think this is lean. Like I think in general we can see a big trend here of just Dems moving all these swing states to the left, except for a few key exceptions, which of course like Iowa, Florida, just these states where Trump is just, or Republicans in general are just moving that state on its own. Like it has its kind of own mind. It's not going to follow the national identity. And I think a few months ago, some of these lean states I might have even put in likely because of how bad I was dooming. But with the dust kind of settled and the polls not too shabby for someone that just led thousands of people on the Capitol, like, okay, this isn't too bad. Trump, I mean, Biden's still, I mean, he's barely poking his head above 300, which isn't that much because, I mean, obviously 270 to win. Like, if you can deny him 33 electoral votes, which can happen in many, many ways, it can even happen in like 3 states, right? That's it. It can even happen in 2 states, right? So it just a matter of how the cookie crumbles, and Trump's in no way out of this. I think it's funny if we could put like Stefanik here. I think he might run with Stefanik. So
I think yeah, it's Stefanik, Carrie Lake, or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those are his
yeah, he
top
seems to
three
have
picks
some
right now.
like, even though affirmative action is dead by the Supreme Court, we should make a video about that. I think he's kind of doing some affirmative action on that VP pick. So yeah, looks
Yeah,
like
he
he's going
looks.
for a suburban white woman. He's trying to get those votes back. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like this video down below.
Yeah,
Subscribe, leave a comment for the algorithm.
yeah, and share with your friends. Get that 2024 hype going. A little
Yeah,
early.
a little early, but yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you.
See ya.